Hi guys, Chris from Harmony Turbines here. We're back with our second episode in our PDA series. Woo, public display of a, sorry. This is performance data analysis. And what we're going to be showing you here is some more expanded data that we've gotten, 8-9 days of data probably that we've gotten. We are at 1 gear ratio. So if you look here, I did a quick select on all of the counts that we took. We're going to throw out 2 and 5 because these data sets are just too small, only 600 and only 23 rows, where we were trying some different ohms. But that's okay because we're just beginning to get data. We've just kind of got our database set up. The last episode, I showed some very rough performance blob data of how our turbine was performing up there on the roof. And really now we're starting to refine that. So we're going to be looking, as I execute this larger query, at the difference between 20 ohms, 26 ohms, and then we also compared 16 and 18. So I'm going to put miles per hour down here on our graph, and we're going to show the potential wattage. That is, when we have our torque meter on the bottom, it's going to show what we're getting at the turbine, what the turbine is delivering down to the generator. Now, what the generator does with that power is an entirely different matter, because then there's all kinds of efficiencies that come into play with the generator and losses and things like that. So potential wattage is always going to be higher than your produced wattage, than your actual wattage that you get out of the generator, because there's losses. Our goal is to find a generator that minimizes those losses. And we're going to continue working over the next couple months on finding a proper generator. We basically, the generator that we have on there is like this guy. It's just an e-bike generator hub from, Amazon. We bought 3 different ones. One was supposed to be 36 volts. One was supposed to be 48 volts. But they're basically, when we got them in, we can't even tell the difference. They all look identical. We're going to start bench testing those because we actually have another load cell and another torque meter, and we're going to put them on our bench over there. Maybe we'll do some videos about that, where we can actually properly bench test these generators now when they come in and see if they're even performing high enough that we'd want to put that generator up on the roof. But in the meantime, that gives you an idea of what we're working with up on the roof right now. It's just an e-bike generator. It connects right into the cassette that's up there. So all of those data points were all going to be in the same 4.93 gear ratio, which is to say that's the highest, the smallest gear on that generator up there. So we can also then change that to a different gear and then maybe test for another week or 2 at that setting and see how things do. But all right, back to this. So you guys have all been waiting for years and years. No, not that long, but about 2 years. I've been really wanting to get to this point. We are finally here. So what we're going to first look at is, the RPM range in all cases, because of this gear ratio, is what that really dictates. It does put, the higher you go, the smaller the gear, the more physical load you put on the unit. It's just like on your 10-speed bike. When you're pedaling in first gear, it's super easy, but you don't go anywhere. So our RPMs would be really low in a lower gear. But we're trying to get our RPMs up here near the 600 range, or as close as we can get to it within reason, without killing the turbine, without putting too much physical resistance on it. Just like, again, your 10-speed bike, when you're on even the tiniest bit of an incline and you're in 10th gear, you just kind of fall over because you can't even get it going to get moving. So we have to find that sweet spot with the gear ratio. We'll keep playing with that as we do things. But the cool thing about our setup up there, and what will be also down here on the bench, is that we can use the chain and the bike gears and all that stuff with any generator. We built adapters so that we don't need to use an e-bike generator. Of course, this one fits in perfectly and screws right together, but we've adapted it and made an adapter so that we'll be able to put it on any generator and test the other generators. So we're going to make the RPMs go away. Just basically know that changing that gear changes the RPM curve on the generator itself. So we're going to hide that, and we're going to show potential wattage in the case of the 20, in the 16, in the 18, and the last one we did over the weekend was 26. 26 doesn't have a lot of data If you look in here, we really start dropping off after 18 miles per hour. We're down into the 64 and 15, 10, 6, 3, and 1. Very low sample size. So I think that's why the potential wattage curve, this bottom green one, is so bad, because we just don't have enough data points yet for it to really even out and see things properly. The other ones had much larger sample sizes. You know, you have a sample size here of 495 and a sample size here of 103, a sample size of 317. So these other three curves at the 20, 18, and 16 were much better. So I think our power curve for the potential watts is going to be right around here, even at the 26 ohms. We just haven't had good wind. What's important to note is that the 25 mile an hour target, right here, is 25 miles an hour. This is where we'd like to rate our turbine at the 25 mile an hour range. The turbine itself right now, with the setup we have up there, is showing a potential wattage of 200. Now, don't get excited. Don't get upset. Don't be like, oh my God, this is crazy. A 200 watt potential we're just beginning this work, and we have nowhere to go but up. So we have everywhere to go. In other words, up is the only direction we can really move. This is a baseline. This is a rock bottom that we're going to be, for us to just get it mounted on the roof, get things stable, get our readings coming in, and getting things consistent like this. This data is very, very consistent and believable and reproducible. So we're seeing a potential wattage in the 200 watt range with the setup up there right now. That will change when we put a different gear ratio on things. It will change when we change the scoop geometry of the turbine. It can also change when we change the furling state of the turbine. So there's like three major variables that will play into how the potential wattage can change on the turbine. Then, of course, the generator, what it's producing, will add another variable. So our turbine right now, with the setup we have up there on the roof, very first really week of producing, we've got a potential wattage of about 200, which is half of our target where we want it to be. Okay, that's fine, so be it. We're gonna turn some of these off so it's not so confusing. There's our potential wattage. Now let's take a look at what that crappy e-bike generator did. So here's the wattage in each of the cases. And you can see our wattage, the actual wattage coming out of that generator, is only half of what the turbine is actually producing at the 25 mile an hour range. So here's our actual wattage curve coming down to us from that generator. I'm not surprised. It's an e-bike motor that we're spinning backwards and using as a generator, or we're actually putting torque into it and using it as a generator, but it was our starting point. So guys, without getting into a ton of deep dive here onto all this data, I wanted to share with you, because we promised you we would start showing you the data as we're getting it. Name one other company out there who's developing turbines like we are from the ground up, from the beginning, who's showing you everything from the very beginning of the project through the development stage, all to now where we're at, which is the data collection stage in our alpha units. I don't know of any other company that's even attempted to do this. There's a couple out there that I'll not name any names, but they've been at it for years and years and years, and you have to just go off of one little tiny PDF snapshot of what it should produce in this wind, and that's about all they give you. We're showing you the data. We're showing you the data points and everything, and we plan on doing that as we continue with this project. It's only going to get better from here. So the generator is incredibly disappointing. We could have told you that, but it's all right. So it's really crappy. It's less than half of its potential. The potential wattage coming off of our torque meter and everything is about what I'm expecting to see with our first stab. Remember, when I made Harmony way back in the beginning, I only took a yin and yang symbol and literally just separated it and turned that into our turbine scoops. Our turbine is based after a Savonius model, but it's not optimized yet. We're about to get into that. This next, year could be, I don't know, I shouldn't put a time limit on it, because I don't want people to be disappointed if we do things at a different time rate. But for this next foreseeable future, we're going to be working on optimizing our design and our scoop geometry so that we can get the most possible amount of wattage out of our unit. And if you would do the math on this, this puts us in at 200 watts, only about a 13% efficiency. So Savonius turbines historically, when you read the papers and dig into them, can be above 30% efficiency. That means we would be above 400 watts if we can start getting some of the geometry characteristics right. So for right now, guys, this is where it's at. This is how our turbine is performing right now up there on the roof. And you're literally seeing the wattage that is in line with what I would expect with an unoptimized scoop geometry here at 200 potential watts. The generator, that's another story entirely, but that's what we'll be working on as well. Okay, that's pretty much it for this second episode in our PDA series. I hope you guys found this enjoyable and useful. And again, you know, we're out there showing you the good, the bad, the ugly. We're showing you everything as we do this. And I promised all along that we would get to the point where we would be doing this, where we'd be sharing our data. So here you go. First, deep dive into the data. We had thousands and thousands of data points over the past 8 or 9 days that we collected. And now we have the ability to data mine that information and look at it and analyze it. So I'll be working on better and better queries as we go through and leveraging my skills there. And we'll be also improving our data on the turbines. We'll be doing more wind tunnel testing. We'll basically take scoop geometry changes, test them in the wind tunnel. We'll show you all of it. We are all about just showing you what we're doing, guys. That's showing you the journey of this development. So you're getting a glimpse into how we're doing this and where we have to go from here. All right, guys. Thank you to our supporters, for all of you out there who have been following with us, our Patreon subscribers, our investors. Thank you so very much. If you're interested in our project, you like what we're doing and you want to support us, you want to become an investor, we do have an open funding round right now. It is early December 2024 when I'm making this video. So if you're watching this video years or months later, you might not be able to invest. But if you are watching it very soon after I make it, then you can still get in and invest in our crowdfunding round. And we would certainly appreciate the support. So thank you to everyone. Happy holidays. It is coming into December here. Christmas is coming around the corner. Chris from Harmony Turbines, take care. Harmony Turbines. We now have the power to change the world.